All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. We got a lot to talk about today, so in just a second, there's a bombshell story. We have a Department of Justice whistleblower went to 60 Minutes and explains how he was ordered to lie by the Trump regime, and he refused to do that. So this is huge. I'll play the clips for you. It's really something special. Then we'll get to Amazon is about to kill 600,000 jobs because of AI. So like the AI apocalypse is already here. Then we'll get to a major and shocking new study finds that the COVID vaccine actually helps fight cancer. I'm sure Joe Rogan will be all over that story, right? All right. And then we'll also get to a huge new poll that came out that spells doom for MAGA. It really is not looking good for them if there's a free and fair election, which is, of course, a huge if in this moment. And then later on, we have MAGA going full Nazi and just torching Kash Patel for daring to tweet something saying Happy Diwali. So, I mean, apparently if the religion that you're talking about or the holiday you're talking about is not Christian, they have zero tolerance for it. Unsurprising in the moment, but I hope it'd be a wake-up call for somebody like Kash Patel. But I doubt it. So we have all that and more. You guys know the drill. Everybody please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you absolutely nothing at all. It really helps spread the videos around through the algorithm. Gets a lot more eyeballs on the channel. You could also support the show on Patreon, and thank you to everybody who does. Just $2 a month goes a long way. $5 a month goes a long way. $7 a month goes a really long way. And remember, guys, we are real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read or anything like that. Never talked to a billionaire or a PAC. And so we built it from the ground up, and you guys made that possible, so I'm deeply appreciative over that fact. You could also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below. And go subscribe to the Corn's World YouTube channel where we post live Kyle and Corn episodes. You don't want to miss that either. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right in. So here we have a Department of Justice whistleblower by the name of Erez Ruveni. He's a former Department of Justice lawyer. He resigned because he was being ordered to commit crimes. And it's actually very brave of him that he's come forward and he's talking directly to 60 Minutes and explaining what's going on behind the scenes. Take a look at this. This is really, really disturbing.
This Salvadoran man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, had been deported by mistake. Normally, people deported in error are returned, but instead, Ruveni says that in a phone call from a superior, he was ordered to argue against Abrego Garcia's return by telling a judge that Abrego Garcia was an MS-13 gang member and a terrorist.
And I respond up the chain of command. No way. That is not correct. That is not factually correct. It is not legally correct. That is a lie. And I cannot sign my name to that brief.
You're not saying Abrego Garcia is a choir boy. You're just saying that no one had managed to prove that he was a terrorist.
Here's the really important thing here. Whether Mr. Abrego Garcia is or isn't a member of MS-13 or a terrorist or anything else is beside the point. What matters here is that they did everything they did to him in violation of his due process rights. What's to stop them if they decide they don't like you anymore? To say you're a criminal, you're a member of MS-13, you're a terrorist. What's to stop them from sending in some DOJ attorney at the direction of DOJ leadership to delay, to filibuster, and if necessary, to lie? And now that's you gone and your liberty changed.
After refusing to sign the brief that called Abrego Garcia a terrorist, Ruveni was fired.
So I guess he didn't resign. I guess he was fired. He was fired for doing his job properly. And then he went to the media. All right, more from the same interview. Here we go.
Beginning of the second Trump administration, you were promoted again.
That's right. Very soon into the administration, I was selected to be the acting deputy director of the immigration section, overseeing about 100 attorneys in every case that arose in the federal district courts.
But it was the very day of that promotion, Friday, March 14th, that he and others were called to a fateful meeting with Emil Bovee, President Trump's newly appointed number 3 at the Justice Department, who was once Trump's criminal defense attorney.
And we were told at this meeting that over the weekend, the President of the United States would be signing a proclamation invoking something called the Alien Enemies Act. This is a wartime law from 1798, invoked 3 times in the nation's history during the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II.
The Alien Enemies Act allows rapid expulsion from the U.S. of the citizens of enemy nations during a war. But without a declared war, Trump used it against more than 100 Venezuelans that the government said were terrorists. They were to be denied their right to be heard by a judge. Ruveni says Bovee expected a challenge.
Bovee emphasized those planes need to take off no matter what. And then after a pause, he also told all in attendance, and if some court should issue an order preventing that, we may have to consider telling that court, you.
And when you heard that, you thought what?
Felt like a bomb had gone off. Here is the number 3 official using expletives to tell career attorneys that we may just have to consider disregarding federal court orders.
Yeah, I need everybody to understand that what he's describing is just completely and utterly the end of rule of law and the end of checks and balances. And that's probably why he felt compelled to come forward and explain all this stuff. What he's describing is the United States of America is no longer the United States of America. What he's describing is we become a tin pot dictatorship and a banana republic, and we become a totally lawless country in every way, shape, and form. When you have the number 3 in command saying, if a court disagrees with us, basically fuck them and keep going. And by the way, that is exactly what the actions proved too at the time. I don't know if you guys remember, we covered this at the time. I think there was reporting of the, fuck the courts type thing. And they were just rounding up innocent people, putting them on planes and shipping them to that concentration camp, the Gulag in El Salvador. And so they did all these things completely in contravention of U.S. law, completely in contravention of international law. And now you have somebody on the inside coming out and basically validating and verifying, hey man, you're not crazy. Like, that's actually what happened. And so in a world that made sense, this guy, Emil Bove, would be arrested right now. Like, it would be immediate right now. With a non-lawless regime, that would happen. But we all know Emil Bove was not acting on behalf of Emil Bove. He was acting on behalf of probably Pam Bondi and on behalf of Donald Trump. And so those are the people who should really, they should all be arrested, but those are the ones who called the shots and decided we're not going to do this thing where we listen to the courts anymore. Which, by the way, when you eventually had this issue get to the courts and go through the process, what was the result? You had a MAGA conservative judge in Texas rip to shreds Trump's decision to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, where homie was like, there's not even a stretch of an argument that you can make to say that it makes sense to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. Because the only time it's been invoked in the past is when we're at actual war. We're not at actual war. You say these are gang members. There's also no evidence they're even gang members. And so it breaks down on not only legal grounds, it also breaks down on factual grounds in multiple ways. And so it is wild to have all this stuff verified and validated because, in other words, it's as bad as we think it is. It's as bad as we think it is. So when we see all these stories of ICE doing mass abductions and kidnappings and human traffickings and taking away everybody's due process rights and assaulting an 84-year-old married couple and shooting a priest in the face with a pepper ball and tear gassing a baby and running over people with cars and tear gassing journalists and cops and zip tying naked kids and putting them in the back of a U-Haul van and deporting a guy who they wrongfully imprisoned for 40 fucking years in this country. When we see all that and we go, is this like a nightmare? Are we living in the Twilight Zone here? This guy's reminding us, yeah, maybe a nightmare, but it's real. This shit is real. So the criminality of this regime knows no bounds whatsoever. And as I always say, guys, on this story alone should be the end of the Trump regime. This story alone should be big enough where, there's legal inquiries and impeachment and everybody goes down. But unfortunately, we live in a world where every single day we get another story exactly like this. Every single day, there's another story exactly like this. And so what do you do when it's the Steve Bannon rolling thunder strategy of like, just do 100 horrible things a day and they can't fucking keep up? What do you do? I don't know what the answer is. My job is to cover all the crazy shit, and even I struggle to keep up. And it's literally that's all I do. All I do is follow it and report it. And even I, on a daily basis, go, well, here's a legacy-defining horrible thing that I probably have to leave on the cutting room floor because there's not enough room in the show to cover it. Like, that's where we are, man. We are so far gone. So much love to this guy. If I was this guy, man, I would hire some private security because you are calling out some powerful fucking forces here. You are calling out the Trump regime, and we all know how much of a thug Nazi fucking Stephen Miller is, how much of a thug Nazi Trump is. Remember, Epstein ended up dead. Who was president when Epstein wound up dead? And who did Epstein have dirt on? So, these are all serious things to consider, but this guy's a hero for coming forward and basically telling everybody exactly what the story is. But just remember, man, if they're doing it on this court case, that means there's not a single court case where they won't do it, right? Once you start saying, lie for me on purpose, it's not like it's only going to be like situational. Like just this one time. No, like he's going to keep doing it. The best predictor of future action is past action. Here this guy is saying, he wants us to lie. So he's going to do that across the board for whatever Trump wants, whatever Pam Bondi wants, whatever the narrative is. So that's going to happen. And then the other thing is, if they're saying fuck the courts, it's not just on this one narrow issue that they're going to say that. They're going to say that across the board. And so it's already here. Like the fascism is already here. I wish I could clean this up in one way or another to take the rough edges off of it, but that's not possible. And I think you all know that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.